So, like you saw regarding the title, the aim is to bring that path from misalignment to mindfulness. And very often we listen to mindfulness and we're like, this sounds nice. It's like peace and love and calmness. But when we have our day to day life, it's like, where can we have that moment to just be in that mindfulness moment? Because very often we feel like we're very misaligned. We're being pulled left and right, let it be with our eating, our relationships, our work. We're trying to make everything work in 24 hours, and it feels like 24 hours is not enough. So today I want to bring a bit of clarity to break down the concept of where are we actually maybe misaligned in our life, and what is that first step to bring mindfulness in the present moment. And then I'm going to bring you more from a mindfulness, but I'm going to progress it into something called heartfulness. So we're really bringing an evolution regarding this. Because as a clinical dietitian for 20 years, we talk a lot about mindfulness, like sitting with your meal and eating it and enjoying it, but we can't just sit with ourselves and decide, now I'm mindful. There is a bit of cleaning up that we need to do. We need to understand what is our goal for being mindful. Because if we don't have a goal, if we're not committed to something, it's just going to it's going to be fleeting, whatever we're going to be trying to do. So since this session is going to be today, I want you to make sure you have a pad and paper ready. If ever there's any questions, post them in the chat box. And as well, if there's something that we need like clarification, something that I say and you're like, oh, Dina, can you share it again? I can send you a bit of certain things I'm going to be mentioning. I send it to you by private message, but it's something I'll be sharing. Again, I have 2 other presentations coming up, but let's focus on today. Very often in our life, we're looking at mindfulness to create happiness in our life. Maybe mindfulness through eating, mindfulness in our life, mindfulness in our relationships. But there's actually 7 pillars that we want to look at. Because our life, when we sometimes focus on one goal, for example, I want to lose weight, or I want to change careers, I want to find a relationship, we find we put our focus so much on that, we kind of forget everything else in our life. And that happens, for example, and I'm using dieting a lot as an example because many people might have gone through that. We focus so much on our eating, our weight loss, and we kind of ignore our social life, work gets affected, our relationship gets affected because we're like, I need to lose weight. It's my plan. But sometimes we're focusing so much on one thing to create happiness in our life, and we might actually reach that weight that we've been wanting, but then we feel something is still missing. We don't feel fulfilled because there's actually 7 levels, 7 pillars to bring that mindfulness in our life to really create a wholesome approach in our life. So if we're looking at the 7 pillars, I just want to make sure I get them all for you ready. And I can also send them in the chat after like that. You make them easy for you. Actually, I'm going to post it in the chat right now. Like that, you have them ready if you need to write it down. Take your time. So the 7 pillars that I work with my clients regarding a wholesome lifestyle to really make sure that we work on a little bit of everything because it creates a snowball effect. The first one we want to look at is health and vitality. Our health, our vitality, our energy, our body, it is something that we do want to take care of, and we kind of need to take care of as well because this body is what makes us do whatever we need to do. Your body brought the energy to make you here being, present in this conference. But this is why this is a very important pillar. And again, these are not in order of importance. It's just an order that I'm sharing it today. The second pillar we want to look at in our life is wealth and lifestyle. So I'm talking wealth and lifestyle. I am not talking in terms of money per se. I'm talking in terms of around you, the activities that you do, the things that you do, your house, your furniture. Yes, we're talking about the materialistic things, the way that you spend money on you spend money on other people. Do you feel aligned to where you want to be? Are the things around you what you've always wanted to have, or do you feel like something is missing? The third thing you want to look in terms of are we misaligned to bring it to mindfulness is love and relationships. Humans, we are social beings, right? We are not made to be alone. When I say love and relationships is in any shape or form. Let it be intimate relationship, friend relationship, co-workers relationships, if you're a fur mom and you have pets, even those are relationships. Seeing in terms of your life, love and relationships, where are you according to where you are now and where you want to be? And I'm going to give you a bit of an exercise as well, just in a moment. Number 4 is purpose and impact. This sometimes when we're in our teens and our 20s, it doesn't really something that really like sits as a priority because we're experiencing and we're learning about ourselves. But then when we hit like 30, 40, 50, it feels like we want to find a purpose in our life. What can I do better? How can I serve the community? How can I become a better person? There's a big spiritual side that sometimes happens in that part of our life. So purpose and impact, it's seeing like when I leave this earth, what do I want to leave? This is something that a lot of people have these questions. And this is where spirituality, faith, believing in God, believing in Buddha, believing in, energy, it's seeing what is that little drive that keeps you going to always wake up every morning and keep going, but that is beyond you and beyond the people around you. Number 5 is career and business. So when I say career and business, what do you feel like you're doing every day to give back to the community in a certain way and also to fulfill your passions? Do you have a business? Are you at home homeschooling? That's a business. Are you home taking care of your parents and your kids? That's a business. All those are things where you are actually bringing in a big part of your day, taking care of something, doing something. And it's seeing in terms of that career, that business, is it aligned to where you want to be? Or do you feel like something is missing to bring that mindfulness to connect to the future you? Number 6 is fun and hobbies. Sometimes we're working, we have the kids, we have things to do, and we kind of neglect that little child part in us, the little things that we like learning the piano or playing board games or any hobbies that knitting, like bringing fun and hobbies in our life actually brings a lightness that will actually be very helpful for mindfulness. I'm going to talk about that in a second. And the 7th one, and I just gave it a title, I call it pixie dust. Okay. Yeah, it's just like Tinkerbell, because when you think about Peter Pan, that pixie dust makes you believe you can do more, right? And it's that one thing that you feel is like non-negotiable for you that makes you happy. Like for me, for example, what makes me happy, my pixie dust, is traveling. I would not say traveling is fun. Traveling is not a hobby. Traveling for me is like part of my core needs. When I travel, it gives me a whole different energy, a whole different way of being myself, of being healthy, wealthy, purposeful, creating impact in this world. So for me, my pixie dust, that little thing that makes me excited, is traveling. And it's finding something for you that is beyond those like 6 pillars, getting that 6th one that just makes you smile, makes you happy, that little thing that is as important as your health, as important as your business, as important as money, and finding that as well. Maybe it's a hobby and you want to kind of give it that little promotion in a certain way. And the reason why we look at those 7 pillars in the beginning, because very often we just jump into mindfulness, but which one do you feel is going to create that biggest change for you and that's the most important for you? So it's going to be kind of your second homework when we're looking at these. And I'm going to share the questions in the chat. Let me see. And I'm going to share them like that. You have them and we can go through them after. So now we want to look at the different levels where we are and where we stand. So we have 7 pillars. You don't have to go through all the pillars right now. You don't have to go through all the pillars from day one. See the one that is the most important to you that you want to work on. But you need to ask yourself 3 questions. So the question 1, question 2 is on a scale from 0 to 10. How happy are you with your overall, for example, health and vitality? 0 means you're very unhappy. 10, you're like ecstatic. And again, there's no right or wrong answer. It's really that first number that pops up into your head. Where are you from 0 to 10? And I just used health and vitality because that was the number 1 on the list. Then you want to say, how would you like to feel about your overall health and vitality? So very often people are going to say, well, of course I want to be a 10. But when you're feeling, for example, if I'm looking at my health and vitality as an example, and I say, I feel like I'm at a 2 right now. And if I say I want to be a 10, does it feel good? Does it feel in this moment right now optimistic for me? Not that it's not realistic. Everything is realistic if we bring in the time into it. But where do you feel like your energy is? You want to be from a 2 to a 4, a 2 to a 6, a 2 to a 8. Where would you feel good now? Where would you feel like, wow, this is a better step for me? And then the third thing that you want to look at is, how do you feel seeing the difference between these 2 numbers? If saying your health and vitality, you feel like you're at 2, and God, you would love to be at 6, how does that make you feel? But I want you to go deeper in this. With that gap that you have, what do you feel it's taking away from you? Not being at that number 6. And going even beyond, being at number 6, how do you feel like your life is going to change? So this is sometimes an exercise that when I do with my clients, it can take them an hour to actually work through it on their own, because this is the first step to mindfulness. We don't know how important something is that we're going to devote time to, is to bring that mindfulness. Because like we said, mindfulness is it sounds very nice. It's a therapeutic approach, but it takes a little bit of me time of putting things down on paper, seeing where I am and where I want to be, and focusing on the one that I want to start working on. Because we cannot work on the 7 pillars. Otherwise we have to like stop working, put the family on pause and just focus. But when you think of like, okay, if I work on my health and vitality, it will create an impact on my other pillars. There is a snowball effect. So you want to start creating a change on one of the pillars, the one that feels the easiest for you in the beginning, right? You want the one with the easiest win in the beginning. If one is from 2 to 10, but another one's from 8 to 10, working on the 8 to 10 will give you a bit of that positivity, as we're going to look in terms of an exercise right now, to help you start working on the other ones. But it's always a personal choice. It's always good to work on one at a time and really taking time to see like where I am right now, where I want to be, what do I feel is missing if I'm not at that number that I want to become, and how will my life change when I reach that number? And I'll give you more exercises about that. So, and now I'm going to give you one amazing exercise, because I want to bring in that mindfulness regarding that image. But I want to go into that one. Okay. So I'll give you the next one is when we're looking at the mindfulness, we have the pillars, we have the ratings. Now I want you to envision what would 10 feel like. Okay. So take the time. Let's sit together and close your eyes. Okay. I'm going to close my eyes too. So you want to really close your eyes and take a few deep breaths. Take a big inhale and exhale through the mouth. One more time, inhale. Exhale through the mouth. So as you're keeping your eyes closed, I want you to think about this one pillar that you want to work on. Is it your health? Is it your career? Is it your wealth? Is it a hobby? What is the one pillar that you want to focus on and that you would love to have a 10 on it? Take the time to envision that you have a 10 on 10 on that pillar. You're exactly where you want to be. Everything that you want, everything that you dreamed of is exactly there. So as you're feeling this change of being at a 10 for one of your pillars, I want you to imagine a mirror coming in front of you. And through the mirror, you see that reflection of you that has that 10 on that pillar. I want you to look at her smiling, seeing how is she standing? How is she looking? What is she wearing? What is around her? Seeing that reflection of you cross that mirror. Somebody who reached that goal, who created that success in one of her pillars. Take the time to look at her, to see what she's wearing, how she's standing, what's around her. Take a big breath in and exhale. Before we open our eyes, I want you to look at that person that you, that future you, but it's your current you. And ask her a question that you are dying to ask her. A question to help you, to guide you from where you are right now to becoming, embodying that you that you see in the mirror. Ask her one important question that you have. And take the time to listen to how she answers back. Take a big inhale and a big exhale. Slowly opening your eyes. And bringing yourself back into the room. Very often when we think of mindfulness, we're thinking of taking a break, emptying our mind. But mindfulness sometimes just connecting to that future you that reached your goals. And I want you to take the time now, if you want, to write down that person that you saw in the mirror. What was she wearing? How was she standing? What was she doing? And if something came up during that moment with her, a word or a phrase when you were talking to her, write it down. Write it down before we continue. Because this is something that one of my mentors told me. Sometimes our best coach is ourself. Because inside of us, through mindfulness, and I'm going to talk about heartfulness right now, we actually can find that path of short, least resistance from where we are to where we want to be when we connect to exactly what works for us, right? Personalization of that, creating that success. And this exercise, if you want to have a longer meditation, send me a message. I'll send you a link. It's on my YouTube channel. Because mindfulness, very often, it's also reconnecting to a higher level of you, a happy you, a healthy you, to bring you in that positive energy of what is possible for you. And this is a type of mindfulness. It's not only quieting down the mind and having everything blank, but it could be also a guided meditation to give you a break from the present reality that is related to your past life, and really creating this openness of picturing you creating that success, reaching that success, and creating a path from where you are to where you want to be. So this is a part of mindfulness. It's a guided meditation as well. And the reason why I recommend a lot to do that exercise of the pillars before, because it's good to have a goal on what you want to work on first. It's good to know what you want to ask your future self as a question, or what phrase you want to kind of like sleep on and think about. And then you can bring this guided meditation with your future you in the mirror, smiling at you and giving you tips. But if we continue with the mindfulness, I talk a lot about heartfulness because very often the mind can create, how can I say this? Negative thoughts. We have 70 thoughts every single day. 70,000 thoughts in our mind every single day. And what we forget with these 70,000 thoughts, many of them are actually negative. They're very regarding survival. By the time that we actually become 35 years old, we have ingrained a lot of beliefs of what our parents told us, what society told us, what our environment told us. And when somebody ingrains these beliefs, it's not the real reality. It's what they brought into us. And very often we are carrying with us all that baggage, right? Of what our parents told us or didn't tell us, what their fears were, what they told us, intimidation, bullying, trauma, sexual abuse, emotional abuse. There's a lot of stuff that we're carrying from our past. And if we're carrying all that past, it creates a lot of fear and anger in our heart. And all that is going to create something in your brain in terms of a survival mechanism, like stay in this comfort zone, don't change, like this is familiar, let's not change this. And it creates a lot of self-doubt. But if there's something on your path that no longer serves you, and there's another training that we're going to be talking about, forgiveness, something is not serving you, it is actually blocking you from creating a better life, a better future. And it's only a thought away, and it's a meditation away. So another way to look at mindfulness, and another exercise I'm going to give you as well, mindfulness is how can we be in the present moment with the emotions that we're feeling, with the thoughts that we're thinking, but being able to greet them away and being able to really quiet the mind like a void. Now, telling somebody to sit down 5 minutes and not to think of anything, it is very hard. The brain is going to go around. They're like, what am I doing? What am I sitting? Oh my God, like I need to cook something. Okay, I need to feed the kids. Like, right? The brain is like always going. So one way that you can sometimes bring mindfulness is through the breath. So this can be done as you're, maybe not when you're driving, but if you're sitting down, you're in a break, or there's like a commercial, you put it pause, or even when you're in the washroom, even if you're in the shower. Mindfulness, you have all these moments that you can actually take a break. And the best way to take a break is to really have a mental repeat of a phrase, or what I recommend a lot of people thinking is we're just repeating mentally. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. You might have things coming up like phrases, and then you just kind of like, you imagine like a wave just whooshing them away. You just repeat inhale, exhale. Just going from your gremlin brain going to repeating the same phrase, inhale, exhale, puts you in a trance mode of bringing that mindfulness and giving your brain a break. Because did you know that even when you're sleeping, your brain is not taking a break? Mindfulness is creating that pause in your brain to create space to be able to think clearer as you continue. So sleep does not do that because you're dreaming, you're thinking. During the day, if your brain stops thinking, we're going to be like falling around. But if you find a moment that you're sitting down and just repeating in your mind, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Give yourself a 5-minute time. That could be something very interesting to bring that mindfulness, because there is mindful meditations, there's amazing apps out there, and all those are kind of the first step of mindfulness, like I had shared before. But then we want to go to level 2 of mindfulness, and this is really bringing quietness of the mind without the outside voice or meditation coming in. So you really play around with different levels of mindfulness, and I like that inhale, exhale, because you're breathing as well at the same time, and you're creating space to be able to do what I'm going to be sharing with you right now, which is the third type of meditation. When we look at being from misaligned to mindfulness, the aim of mindfulness is to have a full life, to be happy, to be grateful, to be healthy, right? Very often we want to be mindful to release what no longer serves us from our past, to be able to create a new pathway, to be able to not have these, how can I say, these blockages in our wheels, not being able to move forward. But mindfulness, it is that understanding where you want to create change, to be mindful about that change. It's about quieting the mind to be able to create that void, that space of thinking. But then the third level of mindfulness is bringing it down to your heart, which is heartfulness. Very often we can bring actions out of fear, out of past trauma, out of judgment. But all that is keeping you stuck. If there's something right now that you're not happy in your life, fear is keeping you where you are. It's just a safety mechanism. The brain just wants you to stay alive. That's it. It does not like change. For the life of it, it doesn't. But we want to bring mindfulness from a heart-centered approach. You're bringing it out of love and compassion. And this gives an ease of energy in your vibrational cells. You're not doing what you think you need to do. You're connecting to what you feel is right for you. Because being fearful of something does not mean that we're not supposed to create change. It's going to be a change. If something just does not feel right, we don't want to go for it. So whenever you bring this mindfulness practice in terms of quieting down the mind, that inhale, the exhale, and this is a bit like what we did in the last meditation of asking your future self what you would tell me. When we bring that mindfulness to heartfulness, and we bring that every morning, if we're possible, just for 5 minutes a day, that's all we need. You quiet down the mind, And then when you feel like the mind is quieting down, you put your hands on your heart, again with your eyes closed, and you ask, dear self, what would you have me to today for the greater of myself and the greater of good of everybody? So it comes out of love and compassion. And something's going to come up, because if health and vitality is important to you, and if you connect to your heart, it's going to say, I think you need to move a little bit today. Oh, I think today's going to feel good to have a salad. I think today's going to feel good to go for a bike ride. Or I think today you need a nap, you're a bit tired. Because when you're connecting to that heart, it's giving you that connection to actually what you truly need for that body-mind connection. And if we feel disconnected with our eating, with our health, with our weight, with our relationships, with our business, it's because our brain is here and our body's here. Society tells us what we should do, and our body is reacting with anxiety, stress, trauma, eating disorders, binge eating completely. But when you bring this mindfulness, really mindfulness is that body-mind connection. You're realigning. And you're feeling the emotions, whatever is feeling, because you are not your emotions, you're just feeling your emotions. And seeing whatever these beliefs, negative things like kind of popping up, we're clearing all that up. And then we bring that energy down when you put your hands on your heart and you're like, what can I do for myself today, for the greater of myself and for the greater good of everybody? And if every day we create that action, we're creating amazing change for us, and we're creating change for everybody around us, because we are in a community. We're not living on our own like in the like little lab rats kind of thing. We create a lot of impact with around people. And think about this as well. When you meet somebody who meditates often, who does mindfulness, there's an energy about them. Sometimes just being around them, you feel something, right? They're not even saying anything, but you're just like, I just want to be around that person, right? Sometimes you might be around other people and you're like, I don't know why, but you're not feeling it. And when you feel that closeness with somebody, it's because somebody who has that body-mind connection, because you're doing something good for themselves, but also for the greater good of everybody. And this is where mindfulness comes in. It comes from yoga. It comes from meditation. Because yoga actually means the union of the body and the mind. So when you look at every different type of therapy we're talking about, it all comes down to the same thing. Realigning your brain and your mind, your brain and your body, realigning it by releasing what no longer serves you, understanding where you want to go to see where your goal is and where you're committed, and bringing it down as a daily practice of 5 minutes a day. You put a timer on your phone, but this is the most important part of mindfulness. It's not just clearing the mind, it's also connecting to your heart and asking it, what can I do today out of love and compassion for the greater of myself and the greater good of everybody else? And then you'd be like, I'm going to do this. And you do that. And then the energy comes up. And when we have more energy, what happens? We move more. And when we move more, what happens? Focus is better. And when focus is better, I'm able to help other people. So it's really a snowball effect when you bring your change from a love and compassion. But you need to bring that work of connecting to the future, you envisioning exactly which pillar you want to work on. And then quieting down the mind by bringing that inhale, exhale exercise that we talked about. And then bringing it down to the grounding of your heart. And this is where really that mindfulness, that a lot of mindfulness practice, I feel they're missing. They're not bringing that action to ground you in terms of, like they say, like love and light, the beauty in my, like namaste is like the soul in me sees the beauty in the soul in you. So it's about connecting. But we don't want to connect through our minds. We want to connect through our hearts. And very often as humans, we are so connected to our mind of what we should do, we shouldn't do, and so on. We don't listen in, right? We don't connect to what our heart is telling us. And your heart knows this is good and this is not good. When you say you have your gut instinct, it's all realigned there. And a lot of programs, a lot of plans don't focus on that. And this is why we might be trying different mindfulness apps. Might not work for you. And it's not that it's not meant to work for you. You need to find that right one that helps you recenter yourself. But the true success of mindfulness, it's not doing it like 1 hour a day and then like it's too much. It's seeing what can I do once a day, 5 minutes a day, not even more. You take your phone, you put a timer. You're like, when can I do it during the day to help me recenter myself, to reconnect to my heart, to guide me? What would be the best thing for me to do today? of love and compassion out of myself and out of others. Because that's something we're going to be talking in another training in terms of forgiveness. You know, self-love is so important in terms of mindfulness. It's not just practicing mindfulness. It's bringing that deep, deep work, which is reconnecting the mind and the body. And this is where we really bring that alignment, right? When we're misaligned, it happens. We're humans. Things happen. But right now it's kind of deciding, okay, like this is something new, or maybe it's not new for you. You're like, let me give it a try. But to give it a try and to see the positive behind it, you need to give it at least 21 days. If you try it for 3 days, you might be like, oh, I don't feel good in it. It's normal. When we sit there with ourselves and there's no distractions, a lot of emotions come up and our brain starts thinking, and it's totally normal. We want to quiet it down slowly. Put a timer. Start with a minute. Start with 3. Start with 5. If you feel like doing 10, then you do 10, but there's no obligation. Just taking that little breather, the little brain breather, heart connected moment for you. That you'll see your energy is going to change. You're going to feel more aligned because you're taking that time for you. And it's going to give you this release of energy for your family, for your work, for your kids, for you. Everything changes. But this is where mindfulness is more than just being in the mind. It's really bringing that energy down to your heart. And I think a lot of people are missing that. And it's okay. Each person has their different approach with that. Apps are amazing. There's a lot of videos on YouTube as well. But it's finding the one that works the best for you, and also understanding which one can you do on a daily basis to create that momentum of success. Because it's a practice. It's like brushing your teeth. Keeping it on a daily basis and bringing it in. 5 minutes. Trust me, I only do 5 minutes a day. Sometimes I might do 30 minutes if I feel like it. If I feel like I need to ground myself. Like today I had a big migraine. 5 minutes. It's okay. And I recenter. I take my moment to recenter actually in the morning. And sometimes when I have a lot of client calls, I take my time to recenter because I don't want my day's energy to influence my work with my clients. So you choose your moment. There's no right or wrong. It's just doing it, and it doesn't have to be perfect. You give it a try. You might get disturbed from people around you, but you give it a try. And if you want, I do have 2 guided meditations that I did in one of my challenges at one point on Facebook. So I'd be more than happy to share it with you, and you can just listen to it. And that could be your mindfulness because it's really a step-by-step process. I want you to be able to envision that happy you, that future you, that successful you, because that creates kind of like a motivation to keep working on the mindfulness than just sitting down and not knowing exactly what we're doing or what we have to do. And again, if you want more resources about mindfulness, join my upcoming groups. If ever there's any questions, you can post them in the chat. And I think, is there anything else I wanted to share in the chat before Q&A? No, I think that's it. So if there's anything else, message me, send me the message by private, but now I'm going to be opening up the Q&A.